Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Martina and I am a nutrition coach, and I am a big advocate of food freedom because I hate feeling restricted, and I love food and I love fitness and I love feeling great in my body, but I don't like restrictions. And today I am breaking down the 5 fitness myths that need to be busted like yesterday. And these are like one of those things that are secretly sabotaging your progress, making things way harder, way more difficult, and honestly, they're probably wasting your time. So whether you've been trying to lose weight, get stronger, get toned, build more muscle, or whatever goal you have and you feel so confused with all the information out there, this is for you. So let's start with myth number 1. You have to do cardio if you want to lose weight. No, you don't. You don't have to do cardio if you want to lose weight. What you actually need is to be in a calorie deficit, which means that you have to be burning more calories than what you're taking in, what you're eating. And now don't get me wrong, because cardio can 100% help. Like walking, running, doing Stairmaster, whatever you enjoy. Because if you're gonna do these things, they burn calories, which ultimately support your fat loss. Because if you do these things, it burns calories, which ultimately helps you to lose weight and create a bigger calorie deficit, but it's not required. And what I see so often is that people spend hours and hours and hours on elliptical, Stairmaster, and just trying to burn as many calories as possible and then burning out and falling off track. So don't do that. You don't need to do that. In fact, I help so many clients to lose weight, get toned, gain muscle without doing any cardio. Because all we did was just focusing on nutrition, adjusting their habits, and making sure that they are more intentional with movements like daily walking. Now let's talk about what's even more powerful long-term: strength training. Because building muscle increases your metabolism, helps with insulin sensitivity, and burns more calories even at rest. So when you're watching Netflix, putting your feet up, more muscles you have on your frame, more calories you burn at rest. So cardio, optional. Lifting weights, not optional. Let's talk about myth number 2. Lifting weights makes you bulky. I could talk about this one forever. You know what? Luckily, I've never been the person who was afraid to lift weights because I didn't want to get bulky. Because I've always loved lifting and I've always loved muscle and I've always wanted to look strong. But I know that so many women, when they hear the word lifting weights, they get so scared that they will turn into a Hulk. So let me just say this. You're not going to get bulky by accident, and honestly, I wish it was that easy. I've been lifting for 12 plus years, and I still don't think I have enough muscle on my frame. Building visible muscle and enough muscle takes time. It is way harder than losing fat. It takes a lot of consistency, progressive overload, and proper nutrition. And often, even intentional walking phases. So let me just say this. I don't think I've really bulked up, but what happened, because I've built strong body, I've built confident body, I've built toned physique, because I was training smart and fueling my body properly. So I stopped starving myself, I recovered from eating disorder, and I've learned how to eat properly and enough so I can go from this to this. Also, this is a hard truth, but a lot of people confuses being bulky versus being fat. If you're lifting but not really focusing on your nutrition and over consuming your calories, you are building muscles underneath, but it's covered by fat. So that look is making you look bulky, bigger, and not necessarily what you like. But it's not because you're lifting weights, it's because you're not focusing on your nutrition. If you're over consuming calories, you are going to gain weight. You are going to put on also fat. But that's not the weight's fault. If you want that strong, toned, sexy, feminine look, you need muscle. Period. Myth number 3. If you're not sore, then workout didn't count. Okay, let's be real here. I used to think this too. Like, if I wasn't crawling out of the gym in pain, I felt like I wasted my time. But soreness is just inflammation. It just means that maybe you changed up your exercising, you stimulated your muscles differently, or maybe you just overdid it. So being sore doesn't mean that your workout isn't effective or wasn't effective. Being consistent and progressively getting stronger, being more consistent and progressively overloading, meaning lifting heavier, doing more reps, improving your form, that's what makes work workout effective. And honestly, if you're sore after every single workout, that's just a sign that your recovery is off. You're not either recovering properly or you're training too hard without structure. We don't want you sore. We want you strong. We want you building muscle, moving better, and feeling great. Let's talk about myth number 4, you can tone or target fat loss in specific areas. That's a myth. So let's bury this one forever. You cannot spot reduce fat. You just can't. Trust me, I wish I could. I have big hips, which I don't like, and I still work on building my glutes, and I wish I can lose more fat in my lower body, but it just doesn't happen. So for example, doing thousands of crunches is not going to melt off the fat from your stomach. And doing triceps kickback, it's not going to get rid of your flabby arm. So here's how it works. You train muscle through strength training. That gives you shape and definition. You lose fat in being in a calorie deficit, and your genetics decides where the fat comes off first and last. I know, this is so sad. For most women, that stubborn belly fat or hip fat is the last to go, and that's normal. So yeah, train your core. It's amazing for posture and strength. If you want to see those abs, that's nutrition, baby. Last myth, number 5, you need to constantly change your workouts to confuse your muscles to see results. Nope. Muscles don't get confused. They adapt, and we want them to adapt. Progress doesn't come from constantly shocking your body with random Instagram workouts. It comes from repeating the same basic, boring movements and gradually making them harder. And that's called progressive overload. You don't need a new workout every single week. You just need to constantly show up and get better at those movements that you're already doing. So if you've been hopping from one plan to another every single week because you're bored or feel like it's not working, stop. Stick with a solid plan because boring builds muscle. And I know it's not sexy and it's not what you want to hear. All right, so those are the 5 myths that needed to die yesterday. And today we are throwing them straight to the garbage. So let me recap. You don't need cardio to lose fat. Nutrition is key. Lifting won't make you bulky. It will just make you strong and confident. And soreness doesn't mean it worked. Progress does. You cannot spot reduce. Fat loss happens systematically. You don't need to confuse your muscle. You just need to train with purpose and do those boring exercises over and over and progressively get stronger at them. So if any of these myths were holding you back, now you know better. And when you know better, you do better. And hey, if you feel stuck, overwhelmed, and like you always have to start over, make sure that you download my Food Freedom Guide. I'll show you how to lose fat, gain muscle, and get tone without feeling deprived. And like you have to give up the foods that you love, because that's not what we do here. Thank you so much for watching. And if this helped you, drop a comment below, hit the like button, and of course, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you next time, and go lift some heavy weights today.